from Moglia Stadium on the campus of Fordham University. It is the Catholic Championship Saturday. And first up is a AA1 showdown between the top two teams in the division. The Vikings from St. Joe's C, they are the number 1 seed, looking to win a second straight title, taking on the Knights of Xavier, the second seed in AA1. Want to thank our sponsors for today's championship game, Catholic Health, and of course, Maspeth Federal Savings. Well, a pleasant, good morning, I guess we should say, all right? I'm not sure what time Pat Godfrey's on, coming off a flight from Italy, but Dylan Butler, Pat Godfrey here. It's always one of our favorite days of the year. It is a championship doubleheader here on the scenic Rose Hill campus here at Fordham University. First up, we've got the AA1 championship, Xavier, St. Joe's C. Two teams that are alike, but they're also different.
Absolutely. Both these teams are going to rely heavily on the running game. Obviously, St. Joe's C is going to mix in a little bit more of a balanced attack versus Xavier, which has historically been a run-dominant offense. But Xavier, big stakes for them. They haven't won at this level since 2015 versus St. Joe's C is looking to go back-to-back in just the 4th year for Coach Baptiste.
It's also going to be back-to-back games here at Fordham for Xavier. They've got the Turkey Bowl coming up on Thursday, but first, their sights are set here on St. Joe's C and the AA1 championship. Let's take a look at Xavier. Actually, before we look at Xavier, let's take a look at the bracket, see how these two teams got here. And there you see C with the first round bye. They beat Fordham Prep in the semifinals. If Fordham Prep would have won that game, the championship game would have been the Turkey Bowl. How crazy would that have been? But then you see the bottom there, too. Xavier, with the win over St. Peter's, had it been C and Peter's, that game for a second straight year would have been on Staten Island. So a lot of moving parts there. But look, the top two teams emerge, and we should be in for a terrific final.
Yeah, very excited for this one. Xavier is a team that brings such consistency on a year-in, year-out basis. Coach DeFalco really picked up where Coach Stevens left off. So many great years in the 120-year tradition of Xavier. They're looking to punch their spot in the record books. And St. Joe's C, really a program that's on the rise, looking to defend their title. They've had a tremendous year out there on Staten Island and looking to punctuate a great season with yet another championship at the AA1 level.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape here in this one. And you can see the titles, those tilt towards Xavier, but look at those rushing and passing numbers. That was not a mistake on our part. That is, in fact, true. Xavier only 30 yards per game, and that's up from the Chris Stevens era.
Yeah, but when you're able to run the ball for 266 yards a game, that 30 yards a game of passing isn't an issue. As you can see, they've had a prolific offensive attack, scoring 27 points a game. St. Joe's C, not quite as dominant on that side of the football, but obviously St. Joe's C has gone through a difficult schedule that earned them that number 1 seed in this division. So really should be an even matchup here. Couldn't be more excited for what we're going to see in this opener of your Catholic Football Championship Saturday.
Yeah, this one of the rare situations where neither team played each other in the regular season. So this is all new to them. A lot of common opponents, of course, but first we look at the Sons of Xavier. They are at the, the third base dugout across the way here at Fordham University. Look, 9-2 on the season. They had a little bit of a, come to Jesus moment right early in the season where, they were trying to not get away from what they're usually doing, but maybe try to tweak and change a little bit. And after, some early season loss, they said, let's go back to what got us here, what gave us this tradition. It's the single wing. It's the misdirection. It's leaning into all those rugby synergies that work so well with their nationally ranked rugby team. And since that point, really since the St. Francis Prep loss, they have rolled.
Yeah, we're talking to Coach DeFalco going into this game, and he said, you know what, at the beginning of the season, they thought that this was a team that could go undefeated. And they get smacked in the mouth, wind up losing a shocker to St. Francis Prep. But since then, the only game they've dropped has been a tight one against their AAA foe in Stepanak, and really it's been smooth sailing since then. They dominated a really good St. Peter's team last week, so Xavier has all the momentum going into this championship game. But as you mentioned, they haven't faced the likes of St. Joe's C, so it's really going to be a tough challenge for them. Going to have to put it all together and not look ahead to that Turkey Bowl game here on Thursday where they'll return to the Rose Hill campus, but instead focus on making sure they capture that championship and play well today.
Let's take a look at those players to watch now for Xavier, and at fullback, it's the senior from Brooklyn, Riley McLaughlin, and both ways, really, Elijah Stewart will have an impact in this one.
Yeah, Riley McLaughlin's a guy who's kind of that old school fullback for the Xavier Knights. He's a thumper, plays with great pad level, and can also make things happen on the ground. As you see, 534 yards and 8 touchdowns going into this game. So a really classic guy out of the backfield for the Knights. And then on the flip side of the ball, Elijah Stewart, a two-way guy, a two-time starter who's just a football player through and through. Really can trust him on the back end of that Knights defense, and he's going to have himself a day.
So now we take a look at St. Joe's C. They come into this one 6-4, but don't let that record fool you because of their preseason seeding. They played a lot of the big boys, right, in the AAA division. So they played Iona Prep. They played Farrell, two teams that we'll see in the AAA championship coming up as well. They played Stepanak. So they lost those games, but it has been a terrific season for St. Joe's C. They're coming off of a storybook year, right? First ever championship in program history. Now they're looking to make it 2.
You see them led right there by their head coach, Tresor Baptiste. And going into this game, he said, hey, listen, we really thought that it was going to take us 4 or 5 years to get to a championship level here. They're here in year 4 looking to have their second championship win, which he said would be great even if you're at Alabama. So this is a team that's on the rise and looking to defend their title.
Let's take a look at their players to watch in this one. And for St. Joe's C, it is Joey Moran. He will have the lion's share of the rushing, and Sal Lito also that terrific linebacker as part of their secondary.
Yeah, Moran is a guy who's averaging a touchdown a game, almost 100 yards per game, so a dominant force out of that backfield. And then on the flip side of the ball, Sal Lito, just a classic middle linebacker in there. He's tough as nails, aggressive at the point of attack. They're going to need him to have himself a day against this potent rushing attack from the Xavier Knights.
It is St. Joe's C. It is Xavier. It's the AA1 championship game. We'll have our keys to the game and the opening kickoff when we return on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Every day opens a new door to learn, to grow, to connect with special people. People who in big ways and small improve your life. Every moment, another chance to achieve a goal, to buy a home, grow a business, start a family, and build lifelong relationships. Bank with trust. Bank with experts. Bank Maspeth.
Long live the morning routine. Long live friendly competition. Long live cozy nights at home. And long live healthcare that works with your life. Access to great doctors, simple mobile app, convenient locations across Long Island? Absolutely. You have options, but at Catholic Health, we'd like to remind you to choose you first, because we did too. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net. Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
It's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! City!
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
Well, I've been working with Varsity Media for, 14 years. When we have video needs, whether that be a game, whether that be a practice, whether it be social media, it's nice to know that somebody understands what we're looking for without asking for it.
We started working with Varsity Media back in 2021, and since then they've been an absolute game changer, putting our event on the map. Varsity Media couldn't be a better partner, and if you're looking to optimize your event, I couldn't recommend them anymore.
It's been great for us. You know, the kids really get excited when they know that Varsity Media is going to be here. Not just what's happening on the football field, but all the excitement that's around it. It really boosted the environment here, and everybody gets really excited for what's going on.
Varsity Media is reliable, professional, and their quality work is fantastic. It's like watching ESPN. The announcers are unreal, really do a great job of speaking to the coaches to get the knowledge of the players, the season, what's going on with the team. There is nothing better than Varsity Media doing a live broadcast.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athlete's key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now.
Welcome back to Fordham University. There we see our head coaches for today's game. On the left, it's Dom DeFalco. He is a Xavier guy through and through. Even though he grew up down the street from St. Joe's C, his mom and older sister said, "You're going to Xavier." Class of 2010. He's also the defensive coordinator. On the other side, Tresor Baptiste, a 2006 graduate of Curtis. He was named the 6th coach in program history, January 2022. 4th season, 2nd straight trip to the championship. They are ahead of schedule. Let's take a look at our keys to this game. Pat, we spoke with both of these head coaches.
Yeah, for Xavier, you got to stop the run, play with some discipline. There's a championship game environment. That is going to be a huge key, and dominate the possession. They're a team that likes to eat up a lot of clock. On the flip side, for St. Joe's by the Sea, play fundamentally sound football, play disciplined football, and you got to bring the passion, the energy, the effort out here. Got to leave it all out on the field in your last game of the season. You hope to defend that title.
So Xavier will kick off, and they will go from right to left, and there you see Theo Sheridan Vitale to kick off for the Knights. Deep for St. Joe's C, Nico Vitigliano, Miles Sidclair. And the opening kickoff of the AA1 championship game, fielded at about the 3-yard line by Sinclair. And he will get himself out to about the 30-yard line, and that's where Pete Tronalone will get the St. Joe's C offense started. There's a good look at Pete Tronalone. Has thrown for over 1,000 yards. Hasn't been asked to be that dual threat guy, but he's a great arm. Still just a junior, and can really sling the rock.
Yeah, and what's most impressive about this guy is he's a first-year starter, but he doesn't get flustered. He stands tall in the pocket and delivers strikes where they need to be placed. So he's going to really have to be dialed in out here against a really strong Xavier defense.
So St. Joe's C gets started on their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10. Matthew Fuentes motioned out to the right, fake on the run, and that's an incomplete pass. Let's meet the starters offensively for St. Joe's C. Joining Turn Alone, you've got the running back Moran, fullback Lido, and your receivers are View, Sinclair, and Fuentes. Up front, the big boys, Rasiopo, Kornadakis, Manzioros, Farrell, and Crisatello. 2nd and 10 now for St. Joe's C. Trips are right.
C definitely has that size advantage up front, averaging about 225, 230 up there. Physical O-line.
Here is Sinclair, gets the stalk block, but a short gain there. The stout Xavier defense, they have come to play. Let's meet those starters for the Knights. Up front, it's a 4-man front of Swanson, Vital, Almonte, and Halpin. Your linebackers are Metzger and Malachi. Your corners, Jernstead, along with Caulfield. Your strong safety is Lavin. And then you've got Stewart and Myers, one at the free, one at the rover. Myers, the rover safety. So 3rd and 7 for St. Joe's C.
And interesting to see C come out exclusively passing on their first 2 plays. Typically a very balanced attack, but find themselves a little bit behind the sticks on this opening possession.
Sinclair motions to the left. Turn Alone, airs it out, comes this side. Terrific defense. Fuentes was the target, but how about it from Ace Jernstead?
This is a really nice play by Jernstead, just reading the eyes of Tron alone. Jernstead's 2nd PBU on these opening 3 plays of the game. Gets there perfectly on time, and that is just textbook defense from the corner for the Knights.
So now St. Joe's C, they'll go 3 and out, and Andrew Didio, at least we thought it would be Didio. It does in fact look like Nico Vitigliano will punt for the Vikings. Deep for Xavier. Are Ace Jernstead and Brian Caulfield. And this one will take a nice Vikings bounce, and lo and behold, Xavier will start from the same field position. And leading them there is Peter Heaney. What a year the senior from Brooklyn has had. He's only thrown for 330 yards, but look at those rushing yards on the year. That speaks volumes to the way this Xavier offense is operated.
Yeah, Peter Heaney, a guy coming into this game averaging 108 yards per game, looking for his 800-plus rushing yard game on the season. So very talented rusher at that quarterback spot for the Knights.
So 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. Watch the misdirection. We need eyes on the ball carrier. Look at this. First play from scrimmage. Right up the middle. Peter Heaney for a 1st down.
It's a thing of beauty right there on the opening carry for Peter Heaney.
He's got an arm. He throws javelin in the spring. But again, this is the way the Xavier offense operates. You don't necessarily have to go in the air. And he has been rock solid for this Knights team this year.
Yeah, going to be a challenge for Joe's maintaining that gap control here today.
Again, the run up the middle. Nice push from the old line out toward midfield. Let's meet the starters offensively for Xavier. Joining Heaney, you've got Caridi, McLaughlin, and Bono as your 3 other rushing threats. Averill is a tight end along with Schechner, and the guys up front. These are not fake positions if you're not new to the single wing. It is Calabrese, Bannon, Esposito, Mamedov, and Judy.
A lot of these plays going to look like rugby scrums. Xavier, one of the top rugby programs in the entire country.
And there is Heaney pushing it forward towards the first down marker. Let's meet the starting defense for St. Joe's C. They are in a 4-2-5. That's the way that Baptiste likes to operate, with Zawadzki, Perufo, Ferrari, and Paradiso up front. Moran, Lido are your linebackers. Leona and Fuentes at corners. And you've got Dunn, Yu, and Durazio. Durazio is your rover.
Quite a few two-way guys starting out there on defense.
3rd and 1 for Xavier. And the extra effort will get the first down, as it looked like was that McLaughlin there powering forward.
Yeah, and that's what Riley McLaughlin's game is all about. He's going to be met at the line of scrimmage right here, but the 200-pounder plays a great pad level, going to fall forward and keep the chains moving on this opening possession.
You know, Dom DeFalco, the head coach, took over, and he also played for Chris Stevens, who spent 22 years as the head coach, 32 overall, stepped down as head coach January 2024. Stevens, I'm sure, somewhere watching this one saying, yeah, McLaughlin, that's my guy. Old school, fullback thumper. Fresh set of downs. Look at this run. Forget about it. Elijah Stewart. Yeah, he's our impact player for a reason. He put 6 on the board for the Knights.
Elijah Stewart with his 7th touchdown on the year. Here's our player to watch on the defensive side of the ball for Xavier. But this offensive line is going to open a nice hole after the little play-action fake, and that's as easy a touchdown as he's going to score all year long to open this one up in this first quarter.
So Xavier gets on the board on their first drive. Now they'll attempt the PAT. Bannon will be the snapper. He need to hold. And Sheridan Vitale, 27 of 30 this year on point after attempts. Now, it should be noted, these are college-level goalposts, so a little bit thinner than your usual high school variety, but no problem for Sheridan Vitale, who puts it through. And what an opening drive for the Knights as they take a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, it's just some textbook Xavier offense right there. A bunch of different guys touching the ball. Not always the sexiest style of football, as they like to keep things on the ground, but that misdirection can really keep a defense on their heels and opened wide open for Stewart on that touchdown run.
Yeah, that is Xavier football through and through. And you got to think, not a short week, but with only 1 week to prepare, that's difficult because you're looking at tape if you're St. Joe's C and you haven't, first of all, you didn't play them earlier, and you haven't seen it really from any other opponent.
Yeah, Dylan, it's reminiscent of the option offenses that you still see at the service academies you see at Georgia Tech. I remember back during my time at school, we'd start prepping for Georgia Tech in August when we'd be playing them in October because it's just so hard to get your defense prepped for that kind of misdirection that you see from these different kind of offenses. Single wing, very similar.
So Sheridan Vitale will get set to put the ball back into play. Good leg on him. He'll again go to Sinclair, who fields it at the 6-yard line. Sinclair up the middle, and he gets to just about the same spot again, just shy of the 30-yard line.
Deja vu all over again.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog's Day a little bit earlier. So these Vikings, listen, they've been through these big games before. There are starters for Tresor Baptiste who were part of last year's team, but everyone is part of the program, right? On that historic night on Staten Island when they win their first championship in program history. And now they're aiming for a second.
It kind of mirror images Xavier's program, 120 years old. C started in the 90s.
First run for Joey Moran, and he fumbles the football, but was he down? And that is the indication from the officials as we will take another look.
Yeah, right here kind of squirms through. That ball's leaking out. And yeah, just as he's reaching forward, looks like that forearm hits the ground before Xavier's able to jump on it. Rob Malachi thought that he had a turnover, but instead that's going to go to second down.
So second and about 4 for the Vikings.
Pro-style package here.
Turn alone, back to pass. Pressure comes, dumps it out, nearly picked off. Oh, man, Kenny Swanson had those mitts all over it. There is a flag, though, on the play.
It's a nice job by number 88, Kenny Swanson, coming off the edge. He's nice and long. A couple guys bring that pressure. Halpin up there, too. Looks like Swanson just able to get his hands up in the air, use that 6'1" frame to bat down the ball.
Our referee for today's game, Ken Breitenstein, he picked up the flag and waved it off. So it's now a 3rd and 3 here for the Vikings.
You know, these are the kind of 3rd down situations you do want to get in if you're St. Joe's C. That opening possession there faced with about a 3rd and 9. This time around, the whole playbook's wide open for you, the option to go to the ground or trust the arm of Trent alone.
Under center is Trent alone. He options Christian Yu to the left side. Interior handoff. They're going to go power to Salito. And he will, looks like, be just short of that 1st down marker.
And you wonder how aggressive right here Tresor Baptiste wants to get. You're down by a touchdown here early, faced with a 4th and 1, but the last thing you want to do is set up a short field for the Xavier Knights offense. So looks like they are going to get aggressive. They're here to win.
They are indeed. Now they could also try to draw Xavier offside. But yeah, they're bringing it. This is their big package here. Quarterback sneak. Trent alone follows behind Mancioris. And where are we going to go? Looks like, at least from this vantage point, from the spot, they will get the 1st down, and they do.
And that's one of the benefits right there of that classic under center offense that you see from St. Joe's C. A lot of high schools nowadays exclusively operate out of the gun, but when you're routinely running plays out of that formation, easy to just do that little QB sneak whenever you need to pick up a yard in a big situation.
So big 1st down, 4th down conversion for the Vikings. And that's now you again, optioning out to the left. Handoff up the middle. There goes Moran. And I love the comment from Baptiste. He says Moran has dad strength.
And for any dads out there, you know, that's easy. Another 100 pounds on the bench press. The second your wife gives birth, so just so impressive. But yeah, he's a guy coming into this game almost 1,000 yards on the ground. He's got 12 total touchdowns in the season. So as Joey Moran goes, so does this St. Joe's by the Sea Viking offense.
And he brings a lot of leadership. There's a few guys that he said do that on this Vikings team. So he'll get a couple of yards on 1st down, which will bring up a 2nd and 8. Again, you motions to the left. Fake handoff. Trent alone finds a receiver. And that is Arthur McCarthy.
Yeah, Arthur McCarthy, another guy who's an option out there for Pete Tronalone. Tronalone does a really good job rolling out to his left side, planting his feet, and just delivering a strike to the slot receiver.
And you feel that confidence, I think, on that 4th down, you get it. And now it's like the tension in the balloon has been released.
Exactly. Just kind of changes things for this offense, takes the pressure off a little bit, and now they're in plus territory for the first time all day.
Sinclair optioned out. Back to the running game. Moran tries to find the hole. He has been met by resistance. What a tackle by Elijah Stewart.
Yeah, Kenny Swanson's able to get him around the ankles. Then Stewart comes in and lays the boom right there, making sure that Moran pays for this one. But a good sign for that Xavier defense is just the whole host of Knights swarming to the ball, about 5 guys in on that tackle. And that's really going to be a key to success with the kind of physicality that you see out of guys like Moran and Lido.
2nd and 7 for the Vikings. They are in Xavier territory. Tronalone calls his own number. Again, he's not had to run the football a lot this year. That was his 31st carry of the season. he gets out to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, he's not your classic dual threat guy, but that's a nice little wrinkle to throw into the offense. Make sure that that defense is staying honest and honoring the running capabilities that Trone Alone brings to the table. Although he did pay a price with Stewart coming down and laying the hit stick. That's going to be a common theme all day long. Number 3, a guy who plays in that secondary but loves to get active when defending the run.
3rd and 3 for the Vikings. Trone Alone in shotgun now. Sinclair again motions out to the left. Fake handoff over the middle. That is complete for a first down, and it is McCarthy again.
Yeah, 2 catches on this drive for Arthur McCarthy. A guy coming into this game only had 14 catches on the year, but does a really good job kind of sitting down right there against his own coverage, and another strike from Trone Alone to keep the drive moving.
So they'll move the chains again. It'll be a 1st and 10 from the 26-yard line. This is a good drive in response to giving up 7 on Xavier's first drive.
I was about to say the same thing, just methodical, playing their style of football, a nice healthy mix of the ground and pound and moving it through the air with the big arm number 4.
Handoff to Moran. Tries to find a way through that stout line of Xavier's, but he was met by the Malachi Crunch.
Yeah, Rob Malachi, 6 foot 215 senior from Manhattan. Came into this game with 85 tackles, so just your classic linebacker at that spot for the Knights D, and he's going to be a huge factor all day long as they're hoping to stop this attack.
And Malachi leads this team with 85 tackles coming in to this game. Fake handoff again. Trone Alone rolls left. He'll look end zone, looking for Sinclair. Out of bounds. He made the catch, but the official ruled immediately that he was out of bounds, and he had a great vantage point of it as well.
Yeah, it's some really good coverage right there by Seb Myers out there in one-on-one coverage. Trone Alone likes his matchup, but able to just push him out right there at the very last second. Some textbook stuff. We're going to set up a 3rd and long here on a drive where St. Josie really needs to find themselves a score.
Yeah, 3rd and 9 for the Vikings. Twin receivers at the bottom, but they've had a lot of movement on every play. This time they are static. Trone Alone will roll right, look for options, plenty of protection. And this one, he was trying to go sideline, looking for Fuentes, and that was out of bounds.
Yeah, right there, Xavier just opts to drop 6 in coverage and say, hey, try and beat us on the back end. So all day long for Pete Trone Alone, but just nothing open. Looks for his receiver near the sideline, but nothing going there. And now kind of a tough decision as you're in no man's land. Looking at about a 42-yard field goal from here. Looks like they're going to go for it on 4th and 9. As you mentioned, Dylan, got the college uprights here, so a little bit narrower, more challenging field goals all day long.
Well, they've already made a 4th down conversion on this drive. They're going for their 2nd now. 4th and 9 for the Vikings. Sinclair motions to the left. Trone Alone. He'll look for that same spot, looking for Sinclair. And the same call is made. Out of bounds and a turnover on downs.
This is a close one right here. Miles Sinclair had a lot of room to run, but that ball just kind of drifts towards the sideline and unable to get that toe tapped in bounds. So it's going to be a turnover on downs and yet another opportunity for Xavier coming off a great opening drive.
Yeah, they will start this one from their own 25-yard line. Because again, Heaney will lead his guys out there. We got a lot of legacy guys, right? It feels like if someone in your family went to Xavier, you too are going to go to Xavier. That was a little bit of the story when we spoke with their head coach, Dom DeFalco, as Heaney pushes forward for maybe a yard.
Yeah, so impressive hearing about the kind of community that they build down there in Union Square in Manhattan. Most of this coaching staff at Xavier are alumni. The ones who aren't consider themselves honorary alumni, so that's a key part of this program, is the brotherhood that they ingrain as Knights.
So 2nd and 9 now. And watch out. Flags fly. We'll take a look at our white hat, Ken Breitenstein, as it looked like there was certainly some movement there.
And so much of Xavier's success on offense is predicating on staying on schedule. So the last thing you want to do is find yourself in a 2nd and 14, kind of changes up the options. As we talked about, Peter Heaney, only 55 passing attempts on the season, but that one's actually going to go against St. Joe's C, so gets him right back on track.
Yeah, funny, Xavier, right? You think about it. They don't have the advantage that a St. Joe's C does out there in Huguenot and Staten Island. No practice field of their own. They go to Pier 40. They go to Baruch Playground, wherever they can get a little bit of space there, as it was McLaughlin spinning and turning to get a couple yards.
It's kind of a lunch pail type squad for Xavier. You see Gianni Judy limping a little bit coming up there. 2-time starter at that 7 tackle position.
Already inside the final 30 seconds of this fast-moving first quarter.
Yeah, don't blink. With the amount of running that both these teams do, could be a quick one out here in this championship game.
And they did it again. That shift for Xavier causing or creating havoc for that C defensive line.
And Coach Baptiste told us going into this game, really discipline for his defense was going to be of the utmost importance. Xavier gives you so many different looks that you're not used to seeing throughout the course of the regular season, and having some challenges out here.
And that's straight out of the DeFalco playbook. He knows well, because he was on that line, right? So he knows all those movements, all those tricks. That'll move the chains out to the 39-yard line.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm trying to think. I watch a lot of high school football, a lot of college football. I can't remember a single time seeing a program running this offense outside of Xavier. It's really one of a kind.
It has gone the way of whatever you want to say has been extinct
the dodo bird?
for years. I was going to go dodo bird, yeah. But that is the end of the first quarter. 7-0 the score for Xavier. And they went big play to take the lead. Elijah Stewart, the senior. They call him E.
And making it look easy right there. Number 3 to the house to open it up for that Knights offense. 7-0 lead going into the second quarter.
Easy E gets on the scoreboard, and it's Xavier with a 7-0 lead. You're watching the AA1 championship game on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Jalen Brunson. You're watching Varsity Media.
It's the biggest deal in breakfast, Dunkin's $6 meal deal. You get a medium iced or hot coffee, bacon, egg, and cheese, and 6 toasty hash browns. Dunkin's $6 meal deal is back.
And welcome back to Jack Coffey Field, Moglia Stadium. Beautiful backdrop for this Catholic Championship Saturday, as Heaney ran right for a couple of yards on first down.
Yeah, not a lot of quarterbacks you're going to see toting the rock 200 times in a season, but Heaney, he's built for it. Guy who's bought in the weight room, as physical a runner as you'll see at the high school level.
They had that ankle injury, Pat, last year that really derailed Xavier. They had that playoff loss to Moore last year with Heaney getting injured there.
A bunch of more guys out on the field for St. Joe's C after their program shuttered going into this year.
Heaney runs right, gets a great block as well, and they just kind of rolled over each other in a true rugby sense. It was McLaughlin with the lead block. You see him there, 22.
Yeah, McLaughlin and Calabrese getting out in front of him. One thing Xavier loves to do is just get a whole host of blockers in front of every single play.
So a 3rd and 4 for the Knights of Xavier.
More movement, just so tough to calibrate for on defense.
Go back the other way.
Just toying with you out there.
Good job by C. Doesn't bite that time as Heaney will be short of the first down marker. Good job defensively there by the Vikings.
Yeah, a whole bunch of guys in on that tackle for that C defense. Looks like Kornadakis ultimately was the one to bring him down, but that's going to set up a fourth down. And looks like Xavier's going to opt to be a little bit more conservative here, try and flip the field.
Yeah, so coming on, Sheridan Vitale. He'll also be the punter. Bannon will snap. And right now, nobody deep for C. Which is, I guess, a little bit of a calculated risk, although now they'll put Moran back there. And the operation is something that Xavier head coach Dom DeFalco didn't like, so he will call a timeout. And with this pause in the action, Varsity Media reminds parents, coaches, and booster clubs, if you'd like coverage of your team on Varsity Media, contact us today to book a sportscast. Your team deserves the best coverage with the best announcers like Pat Godfrey. Any team at any level can book by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net. And maybe as an added bonus, Ben Turchin will interview your star player in the postgame like he's doing there with Josh Kama after Kama rushed for a Long Island record 495 yards in a regular season win over Oceanside.
Yeah, I think probably got to be a leader in the race for best player in Nassau County like Kama is if you're going to get the president out there interviewing you. Thorpe Award, right?
He'll be up for it, yes.
Be tough not to give it to him after the year he had.
Vitale, good boot. Moran fields it, drops it. And good thing he had some friends back there with him as Fuentes fell on that football.
Yeah, it could have been a real costly mistake right there for St. Josie. Fortunate to jump on that one, but going to be inside their own 20, have a long way to go as they hope to tie this one up.
Had a busy weekend for us here on Varsity Media. We have a crew out at Mitchell Athletic Complex right now for the AA2 championship game between Xavier and Holy Cross. We are across the street, across Hempstead Turnpike at Hofstra for the Nassau Conference 2 and 3 championship games as well. So it's a busy day on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Obviously, the game of the year in New York coming up at 2:30 right here from Fordham University.
Oh, yeah. Didn't mention
Almost
that
forgot
one.
about that.
Moran pushes forward for a short gain. But, yeah, we'll take a quick look. These are the games that we've got coming up. Obviously, at 2:30 this afternoon, the biggest of the day, Iona and Monsignor Farrell. That'll, again, 2:30 right here, Moglia Stadium.
And you got to imagine that the Gales are licking their chops to get another chance at Monsignor Farrell. We're obviously shocked up there in New Rochelle in the regular season. First loss in New York State in 2 years. Coach Spagnolo has his guys ready to go.
St. Clair fumbles the football, and it looks like the Knights have recovered Ryan Lavin.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake right here. We mentioned that C is pinned back deep in their own territory. Just a little bit of a miscue on that handoff to Miles Sinclair, and Lavin fortuitously jumps on that one. Going to give his offense a short field and a chance to go up by 2 scores here early in the second quarter.
And, Pat, we speak to all these coaches and the different, whether it's public, Catholic, but they all kind of say the same thing at some point in our conversation with them. Championship games often comes down to the basics, right? It's turnovers, it's takeaways, it's blocking, it's tackling that play a big role.
Just such a thin margin for error when you got 2 evenly matched teams like this. That could be really costly when you're looking at the end box score of this one.
That was Tyler Bono, the wingback, out to the outside, senior from Brooklyn.
Looks like a flag down on the play right here.
Let's see what Ken Breitenstein has. It'll be a block in the back on the offense.
So a bit of an uncharacteristic mistake right here from that Xavier offense.
Yeah, there it is.
Looks like that's just going to be Riley McLaughlin. Kind of an accidental block in the back as he was trying to avoid it, but nonetheless going to put them behind the sticks for a 1st and 20.
It's like you're just walking in line. You step on a heel. You go, sorry, I didn't mean to. Doesn't matter, that penalty. Look at the angled run. Easy E again. Elijah Stewart. Touchdown, Xavier.
And Riley McLaughlin is going to take no time in making up for the costly penalty on the prior play. Look at big number 22. He's going to lead the way for Stewart. Really nice block, just kind of clearing things open with the pancake. And if you give him a seam, Elijah Stewart is going to make the most of it. 2nd touchdown on the day as they open this one up to a 13-0 lead.
Is that like the book? Like if you give a mouse a cookie, if you give Elijah Stewart a seam, he finds the end zone as Sheridan Vitale on to kick the PAT. Bannon is your long snapper, and Heaney to hold. This kick is up, and it is good. So Xavier capitalizes on the St. Joe's C turnover, and Stewart with his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game to give Xavier the 14-0 lead. You're watching the AA1 championship game right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Long live the morning routine. Long live friendly competition. Long live cozy nights at home. And long live healthcare that works with your life. Access to great doctors, simple mobile app, convenient locations across Long Island? Absolutely. You have options, but at Catholic Health, we'd like to remind you to choose you first, because we did too. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
This is Jill.
So what a start for Xavier, as Elijah Stewart has now run into both end zones. The campus side and what is that, Southern Boulevard, I think, on the other side of Moglia Stadium.
Nice little tour of the Bronx for number 3.
Yeah, enjoying the sights here at Rose Hill. As this will be fielded from the 5. Trying to bounce it to the outside.
Broke a couple tackles there, but Ryan Lavin stays hot.
Vitigliano with the carry.
Lavin obviously had that fumble recovery on the previous possession. It makes a big special teams play right there.
So certainly not desperation time, right? You can't say that in the 2nd quarter, but St. Joe's C, they cannot afford to dig themselves too big of a hole against a Xavier offense that, you know, it's a run-heavy offense. They're gonna, when they get the ball, they're gonna eat clock, right? So you gotta have a response here if you're the Vikings.
Yeah, Xavier's more than happy to go 3 yards in a cloud of dust on offense. So got to get things moving and in a hurry offensively for the Vikings.
Handoff comes our way, and Moran is wrapped up. A good-looking tackle by Lavin again.
Lavin just having himself a day out here early in Rose Hill.
He is the only sophomore on this varsity team. And DeFalco says, reminds him a lot, at least in body type, from a graduate last year, right? Evan Tarazi, now playing at Brown.
Yeah, and Lavin, just another one of those family guys at Xavier. His dad, Pete, is an alumni. Such a consistent theme when you're looking at the composition of this night's program.
2nd and 8. Toss goes right. That's to Moran. Tripped up again by Lavin.
Have yourself a day. The 6'1 sophomore just continues to eat. He's made the last 3 tackles and a fumble recovery on the last 4 plays.
Hey, Joe McGrain, he's the basketball coach at Xavier. You can't have him yet. He's a little bit busy here making TFLs.
All of a sudden, looking at a 3rd and 9 situation. And you wonder if you're calling plays for the Vikings, are you happy to maybe get 7 or 8 right here? Might look at 4 down territory, even though you're in your own territory, trying to claw back down 2 scores.
Sinclair was in motion. Turn alone, back to pass. Look out, pressure comes his way, and he is sacked.
Sal Vitale right there, the junior from Staten Island.
Yeah, this means something special to him.
Oh, yeah. Look at this right here. Number 9 is going to eat through 2 blocks on his way to the sack. And, yeah, as a kid who takes that ferry every day over to Manhattan from Staten Island, got to mean a little something more going up against a bunch of Staten Island kids from St. Joe's C.
Yeah, apparently he loves playing the Staten Island teams, right? You look at last week, he had that tip at the line. Almonte had the INT, which was huge in that win against St. Peter's. So now the punt from Vitigliano will take a nice bounce, and actually a very nice bounce for St. Joe's C, considering how short the actual punt in the air was. But Xavier will have the ball here in their own territory at their own 42.
Yeah, and really everything just operating on schedule for this Xavier offense. It's been a thing of beauty. Got to love how well coached this team is under Dom DeFalco. Just picking up on that Chris Stevens legacy. They're so smart, constantly moving, pre-snap, keeping the defense on their heels. And they'll look to do more of the same here in this next possession.
Sorry, Pat DeFalco, a 2008 graduate. Handoff flag on the play. It was Bono with the carry. But DeFalco, 2008 graduate, played with famous Seamus Kelly back in the day. Went on and played rugby at Penn State. Calls a chance here to be the head coach at his alma mater. Just a big honor, really proud. He actually never, when you go to a Catholic school, you go to all the open houses, right? Usually that's the case. He never even saw Xavier until it was his time to go in there in 9th grade. Didn't go to the open houses. Again, lived down the street from St. Joe's C there in Huguenot. But his mom and his older sister, they went on the open house and they said, "This is where you're going, Dom." And Dom said, "Listen, what Mama DeFalco says goes."
And I can't agree more. Mama knows best. And wound up being one of the best decisions he's made in his life. Going to be a lifelong Xavier guy. And now just trying to give to these kids what he experienced during his time in a Knights uniform.
That was a big penalty there, that chop block, which will send the Knights all the way back down the field as Heaney gets to about the 31-yard line.
Whole host of Vikings defenders getting in there. Sal Lito leading the way. And this is going to be a big stop if they can get it right here for St. Joe's C. You do have Xavier pinned back in their own territory. Could presumably get some pretty good field position for your offense following that big penalty, but going to be key here to get off the field. 2 downs to stop them from getting about 23 yards.
Yeah, I was going to say the Xavier first down marker is somewhere around Arthur Avenue. 2nd down here on the 29-yard line. Handoff goes to Stewart. Stopped by Lito.
Yeah, once again, Lito just getting active. He's our defensive player to watch for St. Joe's by the Sea. And you'll see number 33 getting in there. Nowhere to go for Elijah Stewart. And they're going to be facing a 3rd and about 21, which this offense obviously is not built for.
Yeah, Heaney has thrown 55 passes on the season. If you're looking for that guy who maybe might make the catch, Liam Averil's got 6 receptions on the year. But certainly they're in their base package, and they will in fact go back to pass. Heaney, it's a quick out to Danny Caridi. That is his 2nd reception of the year, which will at least make this punt a little bit more manageable here for Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier, just a bit more of a conservative play call right there, trying to eat back some of that penalty yardage, but this drive was dead to rights after that costly chop block, put them behind the sticks, and they're going to be happy to just try and flip the field right here. And hopefully, if you're a Knights fan, pin St. Joe's C deep.
How long has Caridi thought about being a Knight? How about when he was 7 years old, had the Xavier helmet and practice jersey on? Another legacy. Dad and uncle both went there, and that was a picture they showed during film session this week where DeFalco's like, "Who's that?" And everybody was like, "Danny, Danny." St. Joe's C. Moran, a short return, as again, the boys from Xavier, they tackle in numbers.
Yeah, it's one of the hallmarks of this program is everybody flies to the ball defensively. Obviously gotten the best of this Vikings offense thus far, but there was a good drive there in the first quarter that the Vikings were unable to finish off. Pete Trone alone going to hope to kind of build on that early momentum, get things going back in the right direction here.
Yeah, what an opportunity here now for them to maybe run down the field, get in the end zone, and get some confidence going, get some mojo going heading into the second half. Trone alone over the middle. A little bit of a wobbly pass, but it was complete to Fuentes at the 45.
Yeah, Matt Fuentes over the middle is their senior captain right there. And that's exactly what they needed to start off this drive. Make sure that you keep that Xavier defense honest after they're keying off on the run in recent possessions.
Trone alone ducks out, throws over the middle. What a grab by Christian Yu.
Yeah, going into this game, Coach Baptiste was telling us about the hands of Christian Yu, one of the most sure-handed guys in this entire program. Does a really good job there in traffic on first down to set up this 2nd and 2.
And not quite the 2-minute offense, right? But it certainly see realizing the time and score as Trone alone will look deep, go sideline. There's a flag on the play. The ball is dropped by McCarthy. But let's see what this flag is. Was it pass interference?
Yeah, it looks like a PI to my naked eye. Brian Caulfield, the senior corner out there on an island and just gets a little bit too grabby. That's going to be a first down for St. Joe's C and keep this offense moving in the right direction.
Well, it was an infraction against the defense, but they'll say that it was a hold, but still it'll move the chains for the Vikings.
Yeah, difference there is a PI is going to cost you 15 yards, a defensive holding 10, so it's going to set up first down on the 37-yard line going in, plus territory for the Vikings O.
2:03 left in this first half. Trone alone. He'll go that same way. Into the air. What a grab! This time it was Yu. And Yu points his way towards a 1st and goal.
Yeah, Christian Yu says you already know that he's going to get that toe tap near the sideline. Really good job once again picking on Caulfield out there in one-on-one coverage. And the senior does a really good job of getting the toe in. Versus earlier on in this game, you saw some difficulties for the Vikings, though, trying to stay in bounds on those catches.
1st and goal from the 4. Handoff, Moran lowers the shoulder, pushes forward, and he is in. Touchdown for Joey Moran, a much-needed score for the Vikings, his 11th rushing touchdown of the year.
Yeah, just such a good job by Moran, playing with good pad level. He's a big dude, but knows how to play low to the ground and just slices his way through the defense for the score. Nice lead block there by the fullback, Sal Lito. And that's going to pull this one to a one-possession game as we head closer to halftime.
So it'll be Vitigliano as your kicker. Leona to hold. The kick is up, and it is good. And that is a much-needed response from St. Joe's C. They pull within a touchdown with 1:44 left in the first half, and their impact player, or one of the two impact players we highlighted, Joey Moran, leads them there.
Yeah, just exactly what the doctor ordered for Treasure Baptiste's offense. You would have hated to go into halftime down 2 scores, so they make quick work of the Xavier D, led by some great passing on the part of Pete Trun alone. Christian Yu steps up, and Moran finishes off the drive with the touchdown.
St. Joe's C, a team that doesn't really average a lot of points per game, right? They're at 15.9. Excuse me, I was going back to 2002. 17-4, they're improved to this year. But they only give up 15 points a game, so they're right at that defensively.
And one thing to take into account there is they did play a lot of AAA competition. They were held scoreless by Iona Prep, so if you kind of adjust that, looking at teams in this AA1 division, they are a bit more prolific than that top-line number would indicate, but still, good sign to see that offense get going right there.
Short one will be fielded at about the 23-yard line, but there are the boys from C swarming to the football and making sure that Xavier has a long field here. So you feel now that pendulum of momentum shifting to the guys from Huguenot.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a momentum shift here. Important for the St. Joe's C defense to get off the field, make sure they don't give up any points going into the half, because got to remember that Xavier elected to defer that opening kickoff and will be receiving the ball to open up the third quarter.
There is Heaney. And he will get to about the 32-yard line.
And the one downside of this offensive scheme for the Knights is you don't really have anything in the playbook designed for the 2-minute drill. They like to do a lot of stuff pre-snap, which isn't great when you only got 75 seconds left in the first half.
And there is Bono. Big run from Tyler Bono, the senior from Brooklyn, transferred in a sophomore year from Xavier, one of those old school flyers for the Xavier team, and he'll get a first down.
Yeah, Bono's just another nice wrinkle in that offensive attack. Comes into this game with 512 yards and only 58 carries, so averaging over 9 per carry.
You did that in your head just now. That was really impressive.
Yeah, you know.
For a guy with a little jet lag as he pushes out to the 45.
I know O-linemen don't get the best rep, but my math skills, at least basic math, aren't the worst.
And Xavier will call this timeout with 40 seconds remaining. When you look at the last couple of years for Xavier football, we'll pop that up. A year ago, you lose to Moore in the quarterfinals, 38-28. In 2022, they won that. It should say AA2 championship. That's my bet on that. But that was, what a great story. We were on the call for that one, and they were coming off COVID, and again, they play rugby in the spring, so they couldn't play football in the spring. So there was a lot of guys who had to get a lot of extra training. This is the level that they want to be in and play in. And then you see there in 2023, they return to AA1, another loss to Moore in the semifinals. But they followed that up last year, at least, with that 28-0 win over Fordham over at Aviator Sports Complex, the 101 edition of the Turkey Bowl.
Yeah, 24, a bit of a down year for the Knights compared to what they're used to in the inaugural season for Coach DeFalco as head coach, but he's got them right back on schedule as a program. As you see, Elijah Stewart just making easy work of this Vikings D. Number 3 putting on a show offensively.
And Stewart also got himself out of bounds, but there appears to be a flag on the play. So Ken Breitenstein, the flag is at about the 43-yard line.
One thing that's so impressive about Stewart is just the patience that he exhibits as a runner A lot of times you see guys with that level of speed, they just can't wait to hit the hole, but he's happy to kind of wait for things to open up.
And this one will come all the way back. So that Stewart big run negated by that penalty as Xavier back at their own 41.
And all of a sudden, offensively, you're looking at about 59 yards to go. If you want to punch this one in for a score, only one timeout. So wouldn't be surprised to just see some conservative play calling from the Knights, try and get it to halftime with this touchdown lead.
Well, they'll go back to their electric runner as Stewart angles himself towards that first down marker.
Yeah, took a little lick from Salito there at the very end. Number 33 loves getting a little bit of extra hits in when he can. Going to set up a 3rd and about 1 here with 28 seconds left to go in the half. If nothing else, you'd imagine that Xavier would love to get this first down right here and not have to worry about punting the ball back. A lot of things can go wrong in that special teams phase. Definitely an offense built for 3rd and 1 situations.
And also to your point as well, they realize, I'm sure, that they get the ball coming out. So you can be conservative here, but that one was snuffed out. It went to Averill, and he was eaten up.
Looks like Kornadakis, the junior defensive end, does a good job fighting off the would-be block from Paul Esposito and shutting that one down before it even got started for Liam Averill.
Yeah, super athletic, big body, 6 foot 215, Kornadakis. And now Xavier happy to let, well, actually, wait a minute. I think St. Joe's C got a timeout just before the clock went to 0, which is important now because it's going to force Xavier to have to punt the football away.
Yeah, I think that's a wise move by Coach Baptiste. Now, with only a second left to go in the half, you do have the option if you're Xavier just running another offensive play.
Yeah, that's what I think I would do. You don't want to give C the ball. You could even, I think, just take a deep drop and take a knee.
Yeah. I'd be surprised to see the punting unit come out on the field right here. I think if C would have gotten that timeout off immediately, they might have been able to force the punt, but a little bit of indecision from the Viking sideline. And, yeah, you're going to see that offense just stay out on the field for Xavier.
Yeah, plenty of protection around Heaney. He'll likely just take this snap and take a knee. That's exactly what he does as the first half now officially has come to a close. And it is the Sons of Xavier who got a 14-7 lead. And they have that lead thanks to number 3, Elijah Stewart. 2 first-half touchdowns, but there's Joey Moran. Lowers the shoulder, gets in the end zone, a big touchdown for the Vikings. Halftime here of the AA1 championship game, and it is Xavier leading St. Joe's C 14-7 on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
What's up, this is Sean Lights Out Merriman, former Charger and Bill, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Help keep Varsity Media's broadcasts free on YouTube by considering an advertising sponsorship. Our coverage of local games helps local businesses get visibility in the community. To learn more about our sponsorship packages and rates, email ben@varsitymedia.net. You've seen the dedication, the long hours, the early mornings, the sacrifice. You know your athlete has what it takes, but how do you make sure the right people see it? The recruiting process isn't easy. Coaches are flooded with highlights, but how do you stand out in the crowd? At Varsity Media, we specialize in creating game-changing ISO videos, high-definition, athlete-focused footage that highlights exactly what college recruiters want to see. With our up-close ISO video, we capture your athlete's key moments. No more wide angles showing other players. This is just your athlete's pure, raw talent. This is more than a video. This is the opportunity your athlete deserves. Give your athlete the edge they need. Make the right impression with Varsity Media's ISO video service. The future starts now.
Hi, I'm Katie Ledecky. As an Olympic athlete, you might think staying healthy is easy for me. Truth is, we all face challenges. Keeping the right mindset is how we achieve our best personal performance. At Catholic Health, the same focus on wellness and prevention that I follow every day is the way they think too. That's why I'm teaming up with Catholic Health to help make healthcare even more positive, proactive, and personal for every person across Long Island. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
And here he comes again. Off the backboard! Are you serious?
Daly tries another three. That one's good. One from the left corner, now from the right. Daly's on fire with 10 points in the opening quarter.
Loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media Sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Hey parents, coaches, and players. Ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
If you're looking to optimize your sporting event, look no further than Varsity Media's coverage. Since working with them over the course of the past 4 years through the Elite 5 New York City Football Showcase, their coverage has helped take us to the top.
Varsity Media does an unbelievable job in terms of the broadcast, backgrounds on kids, do a great job of exposure from top to bottom. I couldn't really say anything negative. It's been a great couple of years that we've been working together, and it's just fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, the fact that you guys are here has helped grow it, really. I mean, Varsity Media's been a good partner with us now for the last couple of years. That brings this game to a much broader audience.
The level of detail and that you go to, I mean, obviously the announcers, the camera angles, the slow motions, I mean, you feel like it's being covered by, ESPN.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net. For the latest news in high school sports, be sure to check out varsitymedia.net or follow us on social media at Varsity Media. High school sports fans, Varsity Media is the exclusive live stream partner of Nassau County Championships. To live stream fall, winter, and spring championship events, head to varsitymediapass.com to order. Now accessible on smart TVs. Varsity Media is your home for the Nassau County Championships.
Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
He's got room to go. Merrill towards the end zone. Lost his lid. Touchdown!
JJ Damo, face on, stay on athlete. Controlling the face-off X 3 in a row now.
Every day opens a new door to learn, to grow, to connect with special people. People who in big ways and small improve your life. Every moment, another chance to achieve a goal, to buy a home, grow a business, start a family, and build lifelong relationships. Bank with trust. Bank with experts. Bank Maspeth.
For all the latest Varsity Media updates, including our game schedules, be sure to follow us on social media at Varsity Media, the home for New York high school sports. Hey parents, coaches, and players, ever wonder what makes Varsity Media stand out as the tri-state leader in sports live streaming and videography?
Well, I've been working with Varsity Media for, 14 years. When we have video needs, whether that be a game, whether that be a practice, whether it be social media, it's nice to know that somebody understands what we're looking for without asking for it.
We started working with Varsity Media back in 2021, and since then they've been an absolute game changer, putting our event on the map. Varsity Media couldn't be a better partner, and if you're looking to optimize your event, I couldn't recommend them anymore.
It's been great for us. You know, the kids really get excited when they know that Varsity Media is going to be here. Not just what's happening on the football field, but all the excitement that's around it. It really boosts the environment here, and everybody gets really excited for what's going on.
Varsity Media is reliable, professional, and their quality work is fantastic. It's like watching ESPN. The announcers are unreal, really do a great job of speaking to the coaches to get the knowledge of the players, the season, what's going on with the team. There is nothing better than Varsity Media doing a live broadcast.
If you'd like to book with Varsity Media, reach out at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Now is a great time to book a sportscast with Varsity Media. What sets our sportscast apart isn't just the quality of our production, it's the knowledge, passion, and professionalism that our announcers bring to every game.
And it's Merrill. Oh, look at a fake by Merrill. There's the spin again. Gary Merrill is not human. Touchdown, St. Anthony. Profeta! 1-0, Garden City.
Our commentators research athletes and highlight storylines that matter to your communities. Our approach creates a broadcast experience that not only informs, but elevates the athletes, giving the kind of recognition usually reserved for professional levels. Varsity Media's announcers make sure that every athlete has their moment. So book a Varsity Media sportscast today, and let's get your team the recognition it deserves.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
back in the Bronx here. It is getting ready for the start of the second half as it's the AA1 championship game, and it is Xavier leading St. Joe's C 14-7. We take a look back, Pat, at the touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, Elijah Stewart just opened things up there early, his 7th rushing touchdown on the year. And here you're going to see number 8 on the year for number 3. If you give an opening, he'll make the most of it. And then right there, the answer from Joey Moran following a really nice drive through the air, led by Pete Tronalone. Things looking up for the Vikings as things get nice and sunny here. They're going to really need that passing attack to be effective in the second half. They hope to claw their way back into the lead of this one, down 14-7.
Yeah, it's the first of 2 Staten Island teams to step on the field here today up in the Bronx at Fordham University. So I guess advantage when you look at the whole landscape of the Catholic League is advantage Staten Island, right? Because with more dropping their football program, you've got Farrell, you've got C, and St. Peter's. And 2 of those 3 have advanced to the championship. St. Peter's losing, of course, in the semifinals. But when you look at, no one from the Bronx, right? No one from Queens, no one from Long Island.
Yeah, I mean, for the past few years, Moore Catholic has really dominated a lot of that talent on the island of Staten. It's been kind of an annual thing of just seeing the crazy amount of recruits coming through that school. So with them electing to drop football going into this year, all those guys had to kind of search for a new home. And you're seeing the beneficiaries out there today. St. Joe's C putting together a really nice season, hoping to cap it off with their second consecutive AA1 title. And then in the AAA division, Monsignor Farrell having the best year in a long time. This is the first time in 32 years that they went into the playoffs as the 1 seed in that AAA division. So really just things looking bright out there in Staten Island. And both those programs hoping to cap it off the right way with a championship.
I need to correct myself. Holy Cross still representing the Q Borough. They are in the AA2 championship game right now that is happening simultaneous to this one. They're taking on Xavier over at Mitchell Athletic Complex.
Yeah, you're a St. Francis Prep grad, so no surprise you like to downplay Holy Cross a little bit. But another nice year put together out in Queens for those guys.
Yeah, Tim Smith getting the job done at Holy Cross. So Andrew Dito to kick off for St. Joe's C to start this second half. Jernstead and Averill deep for the Knights. And that return by Jernstead as Xavier's offense, that unique single wing offense of theirs, will be back on the field.
We saw last drive, their offensive progress get hampered by a key penalty, and really the key for them is going to be avoiding any of those kind of mistakes. They like to stay perfectly on schedule. They can pick you apart 2, 3, 4 yards at a time if you let them. So it's going to be real important for Dom DeFalco-Zoe to play some clean football here in the second half.
Xavier 9-2 on the season. It's Heaney with the carry. Dives forward to about the 39-yard line. Their losses were to St. Francis Prep. That was in week 3, 21-14. And then a 21-14 loss as well to Stepanak of the AAA division. And it was a situation where the St. Francis Prep loss, DeFalco said, was a humbling one. But he said after the loss to Stepanak, he said, you guys played great. Keep playing the way that you're playing. Don't change anything from today, and we'll get those results. And it looks like that is Heaney again, and he will get pushed back the other way by that stout defense of St. Joe's C.
Yeah, it looks like once again John Kornodakis, the junior, was in on that stop. That's his 3rd big tackle of the afternoon. But looking at a 3rd and short type situation, this is where you want your offense to be if you're a Knights fan. They're built for this. Got so many different guys they can throw your way.
Looking down the hill a little bit here as it looks like the boys from Iona Prep have made the short trip from New Rochelle, and they are lining up across the field from us. Again, nice complex here where it's shared between baseball and football. Here, all part of Moglia Stadium, Jack Coffey Field. And this goes directly up the gut, and a first down run at that from McLaughlin.
Yeah, really nice job there with a little bit of misdirection. Fake the sweep out there to Stewart, but just hand it up to McLaughlin. And the 200-pound senior makes that one look easy as they earn a first down.
He's also a transfer from Xavier after his sophomore year, McLaughlin. That downhill physical thumper of a running back. And we come down this way.
It's Tyler Bono right there with the carry. Another one of those weapons that Xavier can turn to, kind of keeps things going as he's ultimately brought down by Matthew Fuentes.
Yeah, good looking tackle there, right at the legs. Ball now at the 50 for a 2nd and 5.
And Xavier all too happy to huddle up, take their time. They love to chew through clock. Going into this game, we're talking to Coach DeFalco, saying, hey, how short is this one going to be? He said, hey, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how things go.
Bono takes a direct snap and right in on him right away. Big 51, Kornadakis for a no gain.
And Kornadakis is a guy who hasn't necessarily started very often this year. He's more of a rotational guy in that defensive line. Came into the day with 11 tackles on the season, but really making his mark on this game as he sets up a 3rd and 5 for Xavier.
And I'm sure all week, whether it was film or just when you're practicing it out in Huguenot, St. Joe's C, it was let's get these guys into 3rd and longer situations, right? Let's force them into maybe to get out of their comfort zone. So 3rd and 5 now for the Knights. Go back to Bono, turns the corners, got blockers up the field, and Bono will get the first down. How about big? Or was it McLaughlin, I think, right? Had the push.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go on the stat sheet for Bono.
Here.
But
watch 66.
Look at Gianni and then number 22 right there, McLaughlin with the pancake out in front. That's just a thing of beauty right there. As a former O-lineman, you know, touchdowns, anybody can have those, but the pancake blocks, those really send a message. And number 22, Riley McLaughlin, just making his physicality felt out here at Moglia Stadium.
And there's Heaney now. He has a lead blocker, but there's also a flag thrown directly in his direction.
Yeah, once again, Heaney just going to follow the lead of Riley McLaughlin through the hole.
Let's see what our official, Ken Breitenstein, has here. Good crew for this AA1 championship game.
Nothing but the best once you get into late November.
And this against C. So a big one against the Vikings.
It's a 15-yarder right there. So all of a sudden, 16 yards to the end zone for this Knights offense as things are just really moving smoothly here this opening possession of the 3rd quarter.
There'll be more discussion, I think, just in terms of just making sure that I think we have the yardage correct. And Breitenstein says, yeah, we're good. As he runs the clock here. They'll go to Stewart, and Stewart hit for a loss.
Looks like Salito once again in on that tackle. Just a direct snap to Stewart. Has had so much success today, but number 33 says, I've seen that one before, and you ain't getting past me, buddy. Stand up and flex it on him is the junior.
Yeah, Lito just super aggressive at the point of contact. Just loves the sport of football. And even Baptiste said, his energy level is infectious. Heaney gets a chunk of those yards back as he gets pulled down to 13.
So now all of a sudden, you're looking at 3rd and about 7, which is somewhat outside the comfort zone of this Xavier offense being so run heavy.
Yeah, but you know what I think, though, in this situation at least, Pat, that, yeah, you do have a good kicker, but, you don't need to get 7 here. I think you can get maybe 4 and then get 3, and you get yourself a first down.
Agreed. Wouldn't be surprised to see 4-down territory right here.
Or just give it to Stewart and let him do what he's been doing here today. Here is Heaney. Cuts it upfield. He's pulled down at about the 8-yard line.
Yeah, Joe Perufo, the defensive tackle, is almost going to get him in the backfield, but Heaney's just evasive. Able to pick up about 5 right there, and then all of a sudden you're looking at a 4th and 2 scenario. Would be surprised to see the kicking unit get out on the field. And unsurprisingly, Xavier's going to be aggressive. Go for it.
Yeah, Sheridan Vital, he's 1 for 5 in field goals this year. Has hit a 40-yarder as his only one. But you're right here. The way that your offense operates, you're confident you can get these yards you need. So here we go. Big 4th down. Heaney. We got tripped up. Where's the spot? The Vikings are celebrating.
This is a huge play right here by Dominic DeRazio. This senior, he's just going to take that lead blocker out in front of Heaney and just drive him right back. That was Danny Caridi, gets blown up and trips up his own quarterback, Peter Heaney. What a huge stop on that opening possession by St. Joe's C, and going to give their offense a chance to drive down and try and tie this one up.
It'll be their ball at their own 7. It'll be trips right for the Vikings. Fake handoff. The toss this side to you. You tiptoes along that near sideline. He did step out, though, at the 14.
I like this play call right here, the play action, just a high percentage throw out to your most reliable receiver and you. And he's close to getting the first down right there. Steps out of bounds, but nonetheless, a nice gain of about 7 on first down. Really impressed with the arm of Pete Tronalone. He doesn't necessarily zip the ball, but he's got nice touch, puts it exactly where it needs to be. He's been very effective through the air all day.
Quick out. And again finds you, but this time the Xavier defense makes this a short gain.
Yeah, it's a nice job in pursuit by Ethan Almonte. The nose tackle flying to the ball. 6'2" senior has really earned his way this season. Going into the year, weren't sure exactly where he'd fit into this defense, but he worked his tail off all offseason long. Has turned out a really good senior year for that Xavier Knights D.
So a 3rd and 5 now for the Vikings. Tronalone back to pass, comes back to his sideline. He's got you at the 20. He tried to stretch it out. He already had the first down in the books. I'm not sure you realized where he was in the field, but regardless, he'll move the chains.
Yeah, nice job by Tronalone just throwing across the field. That's a really long throw for what's just going to be about a 6 or 7 yard completion. And you is fortunate that he stepped out of bounds for that ball squeaks free.
So St. Joe's C drive continues from their own 22-yard line. Turn alone, deep drop, and he bounced it. There was not a receiver in sight. And there is the flag by Breitenstein. So this will be an intentional grounding penalty against Tronalone.
I think Tronalone would like to argue right here that Joey Moran is in the area, but as you'll see, number 18 isn't looking back for the ball. And you can't get away with that one when your running back is in obvious blocking mode. It's going to be a costly penalty right here. And looks like Xavier opted to decline that penalty, so it's going to be a 2nd and 10 situation here. Bit surprising. Usually the intentional grounding is a dead ball foul.
I didn't see the wave the flag, but well, regardless, trips left for C. Tronalone back this way, looking for you, and just overthrows the senior receiver.
Really nice job in coverage by Ace Jernstead. Some with a couple nice pass breakups in that first half. And right there, out in one-on-one coverage against the most dangerous receiver for the Vikings. Does a good job shutting that one down.
So a 3rd and 10. The Xavier fans to the right of our press box with the chance of defense. Tronalone back to pass. Pressure comes his way, dumps it off to Moran, and Moran will get a short gain to about the 25-yard line.
Right there, Tronalone would have loved to have driven this ball downfield, but just a good job by Rob Malachi off the edge, applying the pressure, forced to dump it down. It looks like the punting unit is going to come out on the field for St. Joe's by the Sea.
So Vitigliano is back to punt. And then deep for Xavier. I think it's Jernstead. He will attack this ball at the 46, but it held up long enough in the air to make to allow the C guys to get down the field and make the tackle.
Going to be some really good opening field possession for this drive for Xavier in plus territory on about the St. Joe's by the Sea 47.
Nice crowd out here on this Saturday afternoon. A lot of C supporters on the left, the Xavier supporters on the right, and it's kind of like a European soccer match where they've got stands between the two that are blocked off. No man's land.
As you learned in the 23 championships, things can get testy out here at Joe Moglia Field.
Look at Heaney. First down run and more. Breaks a tackle. Peter Heaney. Touchdown, Xavier.
What a job right here by the quarterback. Peter Heaney breaking a couple tackles. He's going to follow the lead blocks of Riley McLaughlin and a couple others. Little tiptoe on the sideline, unable to be brought down, and runs to daylight for the 16th rushing touchdown of the year for the senior quarterback.
And McLaughlin paid the price down on the field, back at around the 43-yard line for that block that allowed Heaney to get the separation he needed for the touchdown.
And I'm sure the Xavier fan base are collectively holding their breath, seeing number 22 a bit gimpy, knowing not only how important he'll be, they hope to secure this AA1 title, but also presumably on Thursday as they look to try and win a Turkey Bowl against Fordham Prep.
Yeah, that is always that game that you have circled. It's the 102nd edition. And every year they alternate. Xavier's home field is Aviator Sports Complex there in Brooklyn, and Fordham's, which is right here up the hill, Fordham Prep, is here at Moglia Stadium, which I always think is such a terrific backdrop for that Turkey Bowl game. I've been to a handful of those games. Terrific atmosphere as that kick is up, and it is good. as Xavier extends their lead to 21-7 thanks to that guy, Peter Heaney, with the touchdown.
You see how fired up that senior is right there, getting his boys going. Means so much to him, chasing their first AA1 championship in 10 years. And Heaney's having himself a day so far.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You have to go back to 2015 where they beat Christ the King out at Mitchell Athletic Complex, 28-25. Before that, they beat St. John the Baptist in 2012.
That's back in the day when Christ the King was on an annual basis churning out FBS recruits. Program back on the rise, though, had themselves a nice year after a couple of down seasons in Queens.
That kick will be fielded at the 5-yard line.
But just nowhere to go for Vitigliano. Right there. Once again, Ryan Lavin in on the special teams stop. The sophomore just having himself an absolute day out here. It's going to be a name to remember as he still has 2 seasons left in a Knights uniform after this year.
Yeah, I remember that 2012 championship vividly. That was also at Mitchell Athletic Complex where Xavier beat St. John the Baptist, and it was special because it came right after Superstorm Sandy. And, you know, if you know the landscape of Xavier football players, so many of them from the Rockaways, from Bell Harbor, so many of them, part of that year's team were displaced and had to live with teammates' families while their homes were flooded and some losing their homes. What a emotional moment that was for that Xavier team.
And just a shining example of the community that Xavier prides themselves in. These guys don't view themselves just as teammates, as classmates, but as brothers. And it's really showing the way that they're playing as a unit out here today. Really, everybody firing on all cylinders, all 11 flying to the ball defensively, as it's been tough sledding for the Vikings offense.
Trips right for C. Fake handoff. Turnalone needs the block from Moran. Still keeps it going. Turns it upfield. And he makes something out of really nothing there for the Vikings.
Yeah, Pete Tronalone, not a guy known for his rushing skills, but just has to get creative here. Reverse field. Fight off the tackle from Almonte and make something out of nothing. Though he did pay the price, a little lick from Elijah Stewart there at the end.
So a 3rd and 1 here for the Vikings inside the final 2 minutes of this third quarter.
And Dylan, with the way that Xavier approaches the ball offensively, you really want to get something going here right now. Never know how many more possessions you got as they're able to convert.
Yeah, they'll go jet sweep to Christian Yu, and he'll get the first down.
Yeah, really nice job by you, just following a couple of good lead blocks. You see Joey Moran out there in front of him and able to get the conversion. I'd imagine you're looking at 4-down territory the rest of the afternoon for St. Joe's by the Sea. Got to claw back down 2 scores, and knowing that your opponent is able to bleed clock effectively, got to make the most of this possession.
Hand off to Moran, runs it towards this side, gets a nice block by McCarthy as he pushes forward to the 38.
Yeah, Arthur McCarthy, a guy who's made an impact through the air for this C offense, does a good job out there on the edge, blocking. And both these teams' receiving crews can tell you how important it is to be effective in that phase of the game. Everybody loves the flashy stats, but so important to try and bust open runs to make sure that you're effective blocking on the perimeter.
Final 22 seconds of this third quarter. Tronalone, look out, under pressure. What a big block that he gets. And that is a drop at midfield that would have moved the chains. Sinclair unable to get that ball as, again, Tronalone was under pressure.
It's uncharacteristic of Miles Sinclair, a guy who's been so reliable through the air all year long, 28 receptions going into this game. And he was wide open, but just unable to reel that one in. It sets up a third down, kind of do or die time for St. Joe's by the Sea. Sinclair, another one of those more Catholic transfers. He was partially responsible for booting Xavier from the playoffs last year. The Knights seek their revenge.
It's Moran wrapped up from behind. How about Kenny Swanson?
Kenny Swanson, a guy who's fought through so much adversity this year, battled through hamstring injuries, but finally reaching peak form. And a huge TFL right there to set up fourth down as we enter this fourth quarter of action.
Yeah, the Sons of Xavier with a 21-7 lead, thanks in part to their QB, I think by name only. We're going to call him a running back. As Peter Heaney, a little shake, a little bake, and then easy pass into the end zone for Heaney. 21-7, AA1 championship game on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
It's the biggest deal in breakfast, Dunkin's $6 meal deal. You get a medium iced or hot coffee, bacon, egg, and cheese, and 6 toasty hash browns. Dunkin's $6 meal deal is back.
Every day opens a new door to grow, to build relationships. Every moment, a chance to do more. To buy a home, grow a business, start a family. Bank with experts. Bank Maspeth.
Back here on the Rose Hill campus of Fordham University, the fourth quarter of the AA1 championship game, and it's Xavier with a 21-7 lead. Dylan Butler, Pat Godfrey, our entire Varsity Media crew here with you. Can Trinalone orchestrate a comeback here? Well, he'll do so from a few yards back as Ken Breitenstein will have the call there against the offense.
And that's tough right there. You see them trying to run a little bit of play action, keep that defense honest, but as you move back into 4th and 10 territory, Xavier is going to be more than happy to drop 7 in coverage and make it real tough. Surprisingly, that changed the calculation for Tresor Baptiste. Looks like that punting unit's going to get out on the field.
Vitigliano to punt. And it does feel like this game is maybe one more score away here for Xavier. And they can kind of put this one to bed. And they'll do so, they'll try to do so from their own 24-yard line. But it is always interesting, Pat, because regardless of whether you make this championship game or not for Xavier, there's always that Turkey Bowl right after. And when we spoke with Xavier head coach Dom DeFalco, said there's quite a buzz here for Xavier as we take a quick look at the last 5 champions. There you see St. Joe's C, Baptist before them, and Trinity. A lot of Long Island representation on that list.
Xavier really carrying things for the island of Manhattan.
So is Peter Heaney. Heaney will carry it straight to the end zone. Second touchdown of the second half. And Xavier is starting to feel it here in the AA1 championship game.
We saw after that last touchdown, Peter Heaney getting his sideline fired up. And that momentum carries straight forward right here. Follows a whole host of good blocks. Once again, Riley McLaughlin with a thing of beauty out on the edge. And he pops it open for number 2. He sees daylight, and he can see that 17th touchdown waiting right there for him.
Yeah, right around there, he's like, this is a nice campus. I really like scenic look here on this fall afternoon.
Yeah, maybe the collegiate Rams coaching staff might take notice of that big-time run and a big-time play from the senior out here, leaving it all on the field at Moglia Stadium.
And then he does a great job to get that snap down, which allows Sheridan Vitale to put that through the uprights. So Xavier opens this one up, 28-7 lead. You're watching the AA1 championship game on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Long live the morning routine. Long live friendly competition. Long live cozy nights at home. And long live healthcare that works with your life. Access to great doctors, simple mobile app, convenient locations across Long Island? Absolutely. You have options, but at Catholic Health, we'd like to remind you to choose you first, because we did too. Long live you, and long live Long Island.
This is Jill.
So Peter Heaney, it was the Elijah Stewart show in the first half, and Heaney's like, hold my cup of tea. Let me get in on the action in the second half.
Saw where you're going there. They're only 17.
There's the kickoff, and it will be fielded from the 1-yard line. Vitigliano wrapped up just outside the 20. These Xavier Knights feeling it right now. And now is your chance to score a touchdown with Varsity Media's ISO video. Video footage that focuses on your athlete only, which is absolutely perfect for recruiting reels. Now booking for the winter season. Email jeff@varsitymedia.net for more information.
You know, Dylan, if I had my own ISO video, maybe I wouldn't have had to been a tryout walk-on down at Clemson. Maybe somebody would have noticed me, but
I think you did all right for yourself with that 12-pound ring on your finger.
can't complain at the end of the day, but hard to beat an ISO video for recruiting purposes.
Surprised they didn't make you check that at security here at Fordham. Turnalone back to pass, goes over the middle, and picked off!
Brady Metzger.
And Metzger had thoughts of a pick six. Hey, listen, he's that guy. What does he say all the time? All right, all right, all right. Matthew McConaughey-esque. And Metzger, everything's all right with him right now.
Yeah, it's a great job right there in the tip drill. Xavier's executed the tip drill to perfection the last couple weeks. Last week, you saw them with a great tip at the line, and Ethan Almonte with the beneficiary with an interception. This time around, it's Brady Metzger taking it the other way as they look to put this championship on ice. How about that, number 44?
I guarantee you he's saying that somewhere on that sideline right now. All right, all right, all right.
He also writes for the Review at Xavier, so.
Yeah, he might write his own review. In the biggest play of the game, Metzger. But it was, in fact, a huge play here, right? 28-7. And now Xavier can really put this one away.
I'd say they'd like to milk the clock, but they've just been scoring in such a hurry they might not get the chance to if Peter Heaney stays at it.
Timeouts for C.
And you can see that sideline for Xavier really fired up. They can almost taste that championship.
And for Tresser Baptiste, this has been a construction project, right? This is year 4 for him. But look at that run. And what you like that you see there, right? It's that improvement year over year. You know, from a quarterfinal loss in 2022 to a semifinal loss in 23 to eventually winning their program's first ever championship in only his 3rd year as the head coach.
Yeah, unsurprising to see Coach Baptiste have such success there at St. Joe's by the Sea. He's a native Staten Islander, went to Curtis, played football at Hofstra and Texas A&M Kingsville on his way to a few stops in the NFL, so he brings a whole boatload of experience to that school, really building out a tough program which shows each and every week. And even though might not like the way that things are going right now, as he mentioned to us going into this broadcast, they feel like things are really ahead of schedule in terms of their development as a program.
Yeah, he said even if we were at Alabama, we'd be ahead of schedule. I want to shout out quickly his assistant coaches as well. Randy Luttrell works with the QBs, John Velasquez, the wide receivers, Rich Doyle, the O-line, Matt Muscarello, the running backs and linebackers, Mike Giustra and Mike Adamo with the D-line, and Matt Accavelli with the DBs. Inside handoff, as it was Bono pushing forward. And while we're on that subject, Dom DeFalco's guys, as you mentioned, almost all of them Xavier alums. You've got Mike Barbieri, the assistant head coach, worked with DBs. Joe Lizito, class of 1993, is the OC. Matt Fury up here somewhere in the booth. Scott Ishii works with the special teams. Brian Carley with both the O-line and D-line. All of those guys, except for Ishii, graduates of Xavier.
Takes so much to build a program.
And look at Heaney. You know what impresses me with Heaney's running style? A lot of times you talk about guys who just lower the shoulders. He kind of he's angling. He looks like he's on skates there at times.
Yeah, for such a physical runner, he also has his fair share of elusiveness, which we've seen here in this second half, a couple of huge touchdowns. And Heaney really put together a great career for himself down in Union Square. Trying to cap things off the right way right here.
And when you play at Xavier, it is that blue collar mentality, right? That bring your lunch box and your lunch pail, whatever analogies you want to bring to it. But there is Heaney, and he gets the push from his guys, and that is rugby playing through and through.
Yeah, that physicality really starting to show through. And as we kind of talk about the physicality of this Xavier, there's a lot of guys in thankless spots out there. I mean, really great job by this whole O-line. Joe Calabrese, Tyler Bannon, Paul Esposito, Ryan Mamadov, and Gianni Judy. And another guy who deserves his flowers, hasn't touched the ball yet today, but Justin Landberg, the wide receiver, number 4, does a really good job blocking out there on the edge, opening things up for the likes of Heaney and Bono.
Yeah, you saw Dad, right, earlier as well. Danny Landberg, the head coach at Erasmus Hall. He's got a big game tomorrow he's got to prep for. But right now, watching his son and then the Knights, as it is Elijah Stewart pushing forward for a first and goal for Xavier. But you mentioned the big boys up front, and we could pop up that graphic to highlight them. It is interesting positions, no doubt, right? It's not your left tackle. It's your 3 guard. It's your 5 guard. It's your 6 and 7 tackles. But those are the big boys up front who have led the way for this Knights team.
Yeah, and these guys get asked to do a lot, playing from both sides of the line of scrimmage. Not easy, constantly being in motion as an O-lineman. They really need to operate as a cohesive unit.
And this one also very special to Mamadov, also a native Staten Islander. As again, it's Heaney, and that's a little bit what I was saying, right? Kind of falls and looks a little bit awkward, but still gets the yardage that he needs.
Yeah, Peter Heaney just does a great job with that pad level, making sure he's always falling forward, getting that extra yard or 2 after contact, which really just keeps things going for the Knights O.
At 3 guard with Calabrese, that old school Italian, right? You could appreciate that coming from Italy, straight off the plane. Baseball third baseman Bannon at center, lacrosse kid. I think what Bannon probably appreciates, one little tweak to the way that this offense goes, is it's not the old school, as there is Heaney pushing forward, looking to get his 3rd touchdown of the game. He'll be just shy. When under Chris Stevens, that center had to snap the ball with both hands, right? So you're getting blown up on every single play Now you went to the more traditional one-handed snap, so you can have your head up, and you're able to at least be an additional blocker.
Yeah, and talking to Dom DeFalco, he was like, listen, we know how we do things around here. We don't want to change up too much on these guys, but one way we would like to move into the 21st century is make things a little bit easier on that center. So Tyler Bannon doing a really good job out there today.
And then at 5 guard, you've got Paulie Esposito, which he's probably the most improved player on this team at that 5 guard. That was a question mark this year, but he is such a well-rounded kid, an opera singer. He's the president of the photography club as well, a senior from Brooklyn.
Dylan, I'm just getting back from Florence, which is the birthplace of the Renaissance. How about that for a Renaissance man? How many guys out there can go mash people in the face at 6'4", 275, go sing opera, and then run the photography club after that?
You mentioned Mamadov, the Staten Island native, the only junior on this offensive line. And then to his right, Gianni Judy, 2-year starter, one of the top rugby players in the country. Plays on that U18 national team, traveled all around this summer playing rugby, which is kind of exactly what assistant coach Brian Carley was, right, back in 2011 and 2012.
Yeah, he's a guy who can pull. He's nasty. He's physical. He's quick at 6'2", 215. The reason that he's the captain for this unit up front. And just across the board, can't say enough about the Xavier offensive unit, which has been clicking all day long in the biggest spot here of their careers.
And to your point, more than happy to eat up a lot of this clock now with a 21-point lead here. And that AA2 championship, you remember we spoke with Chris Stevens ahead of that game and said that's not who we are. We're not third tier in the Catholic League. We're also not top tier, right? Our comfort zone is AA1, and again, that was a team that came off of the COVID situation and not having guys. They had no weight room to go to because of COVID, so it took extra time, especially in this very unique system that you have at Xavier, to get those guys going. But obviously they've made their return to the AA1, and they're 4 minutes and 50 seconds away from returning to glory with another championship.
It's so impressive with what they're able to put together as a coaching staff with the relative lack of resources for football. You know, you're traveling to different spots, Pier 40, out to the Aviator Sports Complex, as you mentioned, Baruch College as well. For
Baruch
practice.
Playground, not even the college. Yeah.
Baruch Playground.
It's a little corner there that they have to practice.
So it's not easy.
Especially nowadays with with daylight being what it is and the limited daylight, right? They're only outside, I think, 3 days a week over at Pier 40. Every other day they're inside doing film and just doing stuff inside even the gym there at Xavier. So, when we see all these places, we see what Iona has, and we see St. Anthony's and the huge indoor facility and the big field, like practice fields. Yeah, Xavier doesn't play that way.
No, I think Fordham University might be jealous of the facilities out there in South Huntington for St. Anthony's, but Xavier has really never let that get in the way of having success in their 120-year history as a football program. You look at that sideline,
I
tons
think
of guys.
It's fueled them.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, listen, we're going to make the most out of less here at Xavier. Trying to kick it to the outside, turning the corner, but falling out of bounds there was Elijah Stewart. So they'll have a turnover on downs, Xavier, but they've milked that clock down to 4:43. And St. Joe's C, you look at their history a little bit as well. The Vikings, once upon a time, they were a AAA team, right? And they ran a similar way to Xavier, super run-heavy offense. I remember them reaching the AAA semifinals one year, losing out at St. Anthony's. Are they going to return to the AAA? Are they finding their home here in AA1? We will see. It'll be very interesting should they make that move, right, to AAA, because that's where Monsignor Farrell has lived for the eternity of their program's history.
Yeah, the challenge out there is, competing for those top middle school kids come to your school. Not only are you competing with the likes of Monsignor Farrell and St. Peter's out there, but you also got to worry about kids. Do they want to go to Tottenville? Do they want to go to Curtis?
Hey, Mama DeFalco said, hey, Dom, you're going to Xavier, so you've even got those challenges as well.
It's not easy, but Tresor Baptiste doing a really good job of getting the right guys into his school to build this program to where he thinks they can be. Coming off a championship last year, even though today hasn't gone the way you want it, making championships on a consistent basis is certainly a great sign for the program.
Jump ball, interception at the 45-yard line. Brian Caulfield. Hey, Dad owns tracks at Penn Station.
There we
Drinks
go.
are on the house.
Tracks, one of the best Guinnesses in all of New York City, and Caulfield right there goes up and snags this one. Pete Trone alone has thrown his direction on quite a few occasions this afternoon, and he said, hey, if you're going to keep going my way, I'm going to make you pay for it. Number 24 brings in the second interception for this Xavier Knights defense in the fourth quarter.
Kind of like over in Goodfellas, like, no, drinks are on the house. Proud dad, another Xavier alum as well.
And train coming off the tracks for St. Joe's by the Sea.
I see what you did there. Push forward as the time continues to tick down here, and Xavier inches ever closer to another AA1 championship. Their first came in 2012, and then they won that one as well in 2015. There was a lot of changes in terms of, right now it's AA2 as the lowest level. There used to be A and AA and AAA, but Xavier has had some big games. They've had a few Turkey Bowls that were championship games against Fordham. As Heaney, again with the push forward.
Xavier just 2 minutes and 40 seconds away from their first championship at this level since 2015.
Not a lot of time to celebrate.
Nope.
You got a Turkey Bowl coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, hope these guys will be icing up this evening as they tune into the Varsity Media Sports Network. Got our AAA final coming up, what a lot of people think is the game of the year in New York. Got a Monsignor Farrell team that's undefeated in New York State. Got an Iona Prep team that's coming off of a state championship. #1 ranked in the state on Max Preps.
Heaney gets the push from those guys we mentioned before up front. Here's a trivia question for you. As they're getting the Gatorade ready on the far sideline to douse the coach. We'll keep an eye here on that on the far sideline. But so Iona, actually, I think they might be getting it done now. Let's take a look on that far sideline. Who was it that kind of made this feint? Was it Jim Burt of the Giants who kind of made this one? Or maybe not just because I'm a Giants fan, but...
On Bill Parcells?
Well, Parcells was the recipient of that. I think this is at least water. That was straight Gatorade on Parcells.
And usually here in late November, that's a much more miserable experience for a winning coach. But we got a beautiful day out here, about 50 degrees and sunny. Nicer than you could ever ask for.
All right, well, it's guarded well on that far sideline. That's something that we do know as we're approaching the final minute. Here it comes. There's one more behind. Hang on. Oh, the extra help coming from the big man.
And Coach DeFalco, pretty flight of foot for a former offensive lineman. I guess that makes sense, him being a Xavier guy, but does a good job dodging, getting completely doused. But that's as good of a bath with freezing cold water as you could ever feel as a coach.
Yeah, he had no chance with Dom Kenyatta wrapping him up at 6'4", 235 on that second Gatorade bath as the Knights of Xavier, the Sons of Xavier, marching on to another Catholic League championship.
Culmination of so much hard work for these guys. Going into this game, Coach DeFalco told us is a really special senior class, all that they've been through, all the growth that he's seen out of this group. And that group led by Peter Heaney was just dialed in from start to finish out here at Jack Coffey Field, making the absolute most of their opportunity and going back to Manhattan as championships of this AA1 division in the New York Catholic High School Football League.
One of the great traditions at Xavier is after they'll do the handshake, and I think just after they get their championship plaque is they'll sing that song, right? The Sons of Xavier.
It's great to see Peter Heaney just fired up. He's worked his tail off for 4 years to get to this very moment. And how good does it feel for the senior quarterback to have one of the best games of your whole career? 2 huge touchdowns there in the second half to put this one on ice.
And we saw Kenyatta there, right? The Energizer Bunny, 6'4", 235. He's the DJ, but also he's the one who wrapped up his head coach, making sure that he got the second Gatorade bath. He's a guy who absolutely loves Xavier, loves high school football, brings that energy. And what a moment it is for Big 77, Dom Kenyatta, and this Xavier Knights team.
And I'm telling you, Dylan, this is really a day that these kids will never forget. You blink and you're an old man like me with nothing but glory days stories, and how good does it feel knowing that you went out on top? Obviously, they'll be back out here in a few days trying to really finish off this season the perfect way with a Turkey Bowl win, but for now, nothing to do but celebrate being the champions of this AA1 division. See the Xavier Knight down there on the field. I walked in here about an hour before kickoff. The Knight was already flexing on everybody, beating his chest.
Yeah, well, he did that then, but then he also blew a tire on his way out to the field. So be humble as well, young Knight.
And just great to see.
Shout out as well to St. John the Baptist, in great hands with Tresor Baptiste. Second straight trip to the championship game. Yes, they fall short here, but that level of excellence has been set now for this Vikings program.
Yeah, St. Joe's by the Sea had a tough year at times, you know, facing adversity, going up against some big-time AAA competition, but fought through that adversity, made their way through the playoffs, beat Fordham Prep last week, and got back to the championship game. But as anybody who's won a championship can tell you, it's much tougher staying at the top of the mountain than getting to the top of the mountain. And their repeat bid falls a little bit short, but nonetheless, so much to be happy about, so much to look forward to, with a very bright future out there in Staten Island for the Vikings, led by Coach Baptiste.
I see a few of the award winners there, the offensive and defensive MVPs. Malachi gets the defensive MVP. Peter Heaney gets the offensive, and now they get the trophy as DeFalco posing there with Chris Hardud. And there's the moment that these guys have waited. Not these guys, but certainly the program has waited a decade to do. Lift the AA1 championship up in the air at midfield at Fordham. And now they will sing their fight song.
And literally thousands of Xavier alumni, parents, fans made the trek from all corners of the 5 boroughs. This is really a program that will recruit each and every borough. And these kids got to feel so proud knowing that they're going back to Union Square on Monday for class as champions.
Yeah, they've got class and a Turkey Bowl to compete for. Maybe over at Trax will be for the parents and alums here later on today.
Mr. Caulfield, see you there.
What a moment for Xavier as the Knights, they came to Fordham ready to roll as they make their way onto the field here at Moglia Stadium. They ran onto the field, and Pat, they just kept running and running and running.
Yeah, ran all over a defense from St. Joe's by the Sea that had only given up 15 points a game all year long. Made things look easy.
gets his way, trying to bring St. Josie back. That was a big touchdown for them. But then it was a lot of Peter Heaney in that second half. Long touchdown runs. This his second and final. And all that was left was the celebration and, of course, this moment. Kenyatta's got you wrapped up. Oh, the execution needs to be a little bit better, though. Gatorade Beth. You missed a little bit, but not missing was Xavier winning this AA1 championship game. For our entire Varsity Media crew, for our executive producer, Ben Turchin, Becca Kazaks, our technical director, for Steve Ferrandino, Ron Pierre, bringing you all those great moving images, for my broadcast partner, Pat Godfrey, Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us from Fordham. We look forward to seeing you for the AAA championship game at 2:30 this afternoon.